going to wrap up this week's discussion on leadership by looking at some leadership models. That's what I call I looked around and I found certain personalities. I call them three evil men. One of them is the former military leader, or he's not a leader, he was someone who took office by force, the former military dictator of Nigeria, Sani Abacha. Now, here's somebody that if you had divergent thought, your life was at risk. Here is somebody, if you are not a yes man, your life was at risk. Here is somebody, if you had divergent thought, or you are not a yes man, your life was at risk. Now, this is leadership by intimidation, where people do what you want them to do, not because they have a conviction in their heart, but because they are gripped with fear of the consequences of what you will do to them if they don't do it. If the only reason people obey you is because they fear you, if the only reason people obey you is because they fear the office you represent, then you're on shaky ground, because they will come, you no more be there. Then what happens? So Abacha was a typical intimidator, and we have a lot of those, around. Don't you know who I am? Flex their muscles. If you always have to flex your muscles, then maybe you're not an effective leader. If you always have to be there for things to happen, it's either you're the wrong person for the job or you have the wrong team. And so that's one kind of one model we want to look at. Then there's the other model, which was perfected by another Nigerian head of state who liked to be called the evil genius. And this leadership by coercion. Now, let me put some balance. As a leader, you must have strong negotiation skills to be able to encourage people to do it. But it is not that you will bribe people, you will pay people off to always support you. Leadership that is bought, loyalty that is bought, cannot be sustained. Then there's the third category of leadership, which is leadership by inspiration. And I have looked, yes, there are some really great examples, but I think the example that will drive this home is the example, which is not a positive example, but like I said, it will drive it home, is the example of Osama bin Laden. Now, there's $25 million reward that was put out for anybody who had information about this guy. We were made to think he was living in a cave alone, roaming from cave to cave, only to discover he's living a normal family life. So there were people with him, and these people, you can't tell me that none of them needed $25 million. But why wouldn't anyone talk? Why wouldn't anyone talk? It's because there was a cause that was greater than the reward. They are inspired by a cause. What would make any normal young person strap himself with a bomb and go and kill himself because he wants to please one man? What will make people carry out attacks hoping that this man gets to hear about it and endorse them? There was something about him that inspired people, that pushed people to go beyond limits. Now, I know it's a very extreme example, but it drives the point home. Where people believe so much in your vision, it's not about what you have to give them. It is the vision itself becomes the motivating factor. And this is why strong leaders are people with strong visions, strong, compelling visions, who have been able to make an emotional connection with people. So, how do we then move in becoming strong leaders? We've talked about it. Strong vision. Empower the people around you. Be a person of faith and all that. And then you must have a transformed mind. As a leader, you must have a budget for your mind. You know, you cannot leave your mind stagnant and expect your life to go forward. You cannot leave your mind stagnant and the people you want to lead, their minds are progressing faster than the rate at which your mind is progressing. Your leadership will soon lose relevance. So, as a leader, you must have a big budget for your mind. You must have a strong value of what I call the dash. When somebody dies, you say, so and so, 1940, to Professor Wangari Maathai, 1940 to 2011, or 2011. Now, the value of that life is in that dash between the numbers. It's not so much the number, the value of the numbers, but the dash in between the numbers. Some people have short lives, great dash. Others have long lives, little dash. How do you want to be remembered? What is the value of your dash? I remember there was a time in my life I was concerned about what car to drive, where to live, what watch people wear. I was concerned about all those things. Then, as I began to grow, and I began to find out about great leaders, I found out that nobody talks about the car that Martin Luther King drove, or the number of rooms in the house that Mandela lives in. Nobody talks about those things. And I realize a lot of people today, including the way I used to be, focused on the things that nobody will remember. So we need to think of life outside ourselves, moving from success to significance. How do we make a difference? How do we put our stamp on the sands of time that will not be forgotten? And that's what makes great leaders. They think legacy. Great leaders are secure and authentic. Like them or hate them, you can't ignore them. They stand for something. So what do you stand for? Great leaders have what we call a strong personal brand. A strong living for a purpose. They have a strong emotional connection with people. Remember what we said in one of the other episodes, that the office does not make the leader. The strongly branded person makes the office. Strongly branded leader. And so, as we continue this discussion on leadership, you may ask, where is the next great African leader? I'll give you a very good answer. You go look in the mirror. That person you see staring at you in the mirror is the next great leader. It's already in you. Harness it. Bring it out. If there's any way we can help you to bring it out, do not hesitate. Send me a mail, wale@powertalks.biz. God bless you.